Coo, the memories dissolving and streaming back together to project one last time. I did not know that she was going to move back home a day after we fell in love. Home was 3 hours' drive, no matter which way you cut it, down long stretches of landmarkless highway. There were 2 speed traps set up at all times, one in Canton, the other just outside of Mesquite. But she was the prettiest redhead this side of the Red River, so it was okay by me. I would drive 3 hours every other weekend, risking the wrath of power-crazy state troopers. To me, it was a mini vacation. And this was a 2-driver relationship. We usually spent the weekend at her house. The town that she lived in had 1 movie theater and 1 bar, both of them unchanged since 1963. There was an abandoned house in a field behind her house. The house was the best abandoned house I'd ever seen, yes, this side of the Red River. We went to it early in the day, after lunch, with fresh blue and blackberries that we picked from a local field. The farmer who owned it hardly charged us. He was a nice man. And after the lunch settled, we wanted to get a feel for the house. We wanted to see it before night draped its loving arms around our tissue-thin wings of honesty. Around midnight, we returned to see its true face. As we walked in, I noticed graffiti on the wall, but only in the first room we came to, through the broken-in back door. The graffiti was the standard fare: dicks, fuck you, an odd-looking clown, and crudely drawn naked women. There was no graffiti in any other room. I thought this was odd. After we left, I put a rock in front of the screen door, which pulled out. I would know if somebody had come in unless they were as clever as I. At night, with our oil lantern lit, we approached the back door. We snuck up to it as though it was a sleeping Tiamat, guarding the secrets of unknown depths. The rock was still in front of the pool screen door. We entered. The atmosphere was pure weight, like the heavy remembrance of half-formed emotions desperately trying to be complete. She said it was hard to breathe, and it was. Shadows played and tried to form, and I know to this day that when the shadows start to play, it's time to go away. The heaviness wanted us to stay, had a thing or two to show us. Too well versed were we left. So we cracked into abandoned houses together whenever we could. Eventually, she wanted to get a non-abandoned house with me. She would visit me with hopes of a life together, but, as they say, the love a shitstorm could not weather. After she moved, I helped her unpack, and then I left. All I had left was dust blown by American winds. I added it to the jar, remnants. Coo no more, all that whistling has made me tired and sore. The memories dissolving again, I would see them no more. But they all said that I had to leave, everything pushed me onwards. I did not want to go onwards. I waited, and with idleness came dissatisfaction. I was stuck collecting dust with my jar of dust collecting dust. To counteract, I bought 2 yards of burlap to make a doll-like figure. I sewed it as best I could. I took my time, a few months, but it is not enough for a man to sit and sew doll-like figures, not if he wants to eat. I did. I worked on my neighbor's farm. The neighbor was a tough old man named Abel. I helped him plant, clean, feed, scrape, scrap, corral, piss, moan, drink, dig, build, lift, heft, lug, and on, until my body could barely take it. In return, he gave me pay and company. Still, I was dissatisfied. My mind was ruined, to which the only cure was a suitcase and the assurance that that which I held would not be lost. So I sewed the burlap night after night. When it was ready, I took the jar under my bed, such a thing is not to be displayed on a mantle, and took off its cap. I sifted the dust, as carefully as a man like me can, into the doll. I filled it up. The dust gave it form and life. The dust had aged, put on weight. It was so heavy in its finality and fixation that I could barely lift and sift it from the jar and into the burlap doll. But strength of will, so they say, let me conquer the heavy day. Stuffed with dusty remnants, I sewed up its sides. Its eyes seldom opened, but it always had life. I knew I had to take it with me. I was afraid it would get away somehow when I was not holding on to it. I do not know why, the road made me uneasy. And it no longer cooed. It no longer smashed memories before and into me. So I decided to stitch it to my side. I would not have to worry about it getting away. And it was just a bit more sewing after all. Resolve refused to dissolve in my head as I marched down the windy, dusty road. Abel stopped me as I was leaving town. He said, "You've got to be careful down that road." I know. Do you? I saw you stitch it to your side. You did. Well, I am your neighbor, hard not to see everything with a witching moon out. Listen, stay right here. Down that road the wind picks up fiercer than you can imagine. Well, I'm not afraid of that wind. I've made it here, and I've got to go down that road. I understand, I guess. It's going to hurt, though. That American wind will blow apart even the toughest of things. Thanks, Abel, but I'm going down the road if I have to drag you on my leg. You've seen it. I've stitched it to my side. Even God can see that it will be fine. I'll be fine. Well, I know I'm losing a damn fine worker. Hate to see you go. And I left town down that road. The wind blew stronger with every step. I said, "When wind, go away, come back another distant day." But it did not go away. It blew and blew and blew, and soon I could not see home anymore. Dust in my eyes and in my shoes. Without consciousness, the wind screamed and hissed, dust in my eyes and in my shoes. The wind blew and blew and blew. I felt the stitches begin to break. Snap the first went as the wind blew and blew and blew. Snap the second went as the wind blew and blew and blew. A hard gust, a harder gust, the hardest gust. Snap. They all went with the wind. Suspended in the wind before my eyes was the doll, my only remnants. Gust, gust, and gust after gust, I tried to grab it, but each time I reached for it, the cruel wind blew it further from me. My remnants before my eyes, blown ever away, torn to shreds by American winds, the dust free at last. Thank you.